This is the house where John lives. John Aspinall, gambler, eccentric, animal lover. And this is the dream that John had 40 years ago, the dream of a haven for some of the world's most threatened species. And these are the creatures who make up that dream, contained in surroundings as close as can be to their natural habitat. Their care is profound and sometimes surprising. Their lives, the stuff of daily drama, red in tooth and claw, both at the end and at the moment when, as with this elephant, they struggle to bring a newcomer into the world. A fully grown bull elephant is among the most dangerous creatures on Earth. All these huge animals are protected from the greed of man, says Aspinall, by gamblers' gold.
I'm a gambler born and bred, and I had stumbled on a method of surviving by giving gaming parties, professional gambling parties. In '54, I did have a nice win at the time as well, which helped. So you could almost say the house was bought on a winning bet. Money just happens to enable us here to do some things. That's all. It's just enough money to do what we do.
It costs £4 million a year to run Aspinall's 2 animal parks at Howletts and Port Lympne in Kent. He tours the parks at least once a week. Today, he visits the tapirs.
There they are. Well, I've never been able to afford anything in my life. I just take plunges and hope that the gods smile on me later. And they always have until now. Now they'll have to smile on my heirs. You know, when I'm not very well at the moment, probably won't live very long. And then they'll be landed with something that loses at the moment £2.5 million a year.
For the truth is that John Aspinall is suffering from cancer.
Pretty rare animal now. Luckily, in East Asia, where they come from, the tropical rainforest, the local populace are 95% Mohammedan, and they believe they're pigs. They won't touch them, eat them. Of course, they're horses, and they don't know that. If they knew they were horses, they'd kill them and eat them.
Aspinall's relationship with these powerful animals has always been controversial. The gambler in him knows that if what he and his team have achieved is to continue to flourish, he has to play his cards as carefully as he's ever done before.
Oh, there's one here ready for us, look at that. Just chuck them something.
The millions are spent because nothing is too good for Aspinall's animals. How do you find that money?
When I sold my 3rd club that I opened and sold, I got a lot of money. I put £25 million into this trust here, the Howletts and Port Lympne Foundation. And there's not that much there now, because we spent a lot. We sold out my casino in Australia. I put in another £4 million. And that's what keeps it going, by me pumping money into it. But when I'm gone, I'll leave it shares and so on in the club, and it'll have interest in various casinos of mine. I hope in South Africa, where I've got an application, in Le Touquet and in France and in New Zealand I have interest in casinos, and so it can be reduced to losing about £1.5 million a year. I think, because a lot of the money lost has been me doing construction while I'm alive, which wouldn't happen if I was dead, because it's risky, it's too great. It's all paid for, and the organisation has no debt.
Nothing is wasted. Aspinall has bought acres of land in East Kent and, with the ancient skill of coppicing, is using every inch of every tree. Trunks to give interest to the paddocks and cages. Fence posts from the rest. And the bark and smaller branches, much needed browse for the large animals. These are African elephants slaughtered and threatened because of their ivory tusks. The herd's head keeper is David Magner. He has a problem with a senior member of the herd, Bella.
We think she's got another tusk infection, which she's been knocked down twice before. But every now and then it flares up. She keeps rubbing her side of her face. Her temperament changes. She gets moody. She was in with the group, with the main group, but because of obviously the pain she's going through, she ended up in a fight with one of the other cows. Consequently, she got her ear badly gored. So she was then split from the main group and put with jums whilst her ear is healing. So really what we want to do is to get this tusk problem sorted out once and for all. She's all right in her own, in herself at the moment. She's eating well. She's not too bad, but I wouldn't want to put her back in with the group until we actually find out whether it's cleared up or it's going to be cleared up. Bella is nearly 30. She's a good girl. But as the years have gone past and this problem has arisen, her mood is changing. I think like people when they get a headache or something like that, they're moody. And I think that's what's happening to her at the moment. So we're hoping this is going to be the last time. So we'll just have to cross our fingers for tomorrow.
20 miles away at Port Lim, there's a herd of Asian elephants, 3 bulls and 6 cows. The head keeper is Steve Seath.
The Asian elephant has got a domed back, more so than an African. Obviously smaller ears. They've got a different end to their trunk. The African elephant's got like 2 fingers on its trunk, and Asian's only got one finger, and almost like a wrist. You've got a different number of toenails. They're more of a stocky animal, than an African's like a big lanky thing, whereas these are like little stocky fellas.
Why have they got a lot of hair?
Yeah, we try and promote as much hair growth as possible. It's literally, they got clean skin. I mean, it doesn't look clean, it's covered in mud at the moment, but they get hosed and washed every day and scrubbed up. And in the winter time, when it's too cold to wash them, they just get a dry scrub. Literally, it does tend to stimulate hair growth, and it's quite good. I mean, we do go for that. I mean, you see the hairs coming out and new hair growing. You scrub it a bit harder, you get a bit of pride in it. They're all in good nick.
The good news currently is that Pugly is pregnant. But Pugly is a bad mother. Her last 2 calves have died.
She's a known sort of calf killer. And her second calf, unfortunately, was stillborn, but her reaction with the second calf, when she got it, was none too clever, even though it was a dead one. In fact, we did actually get that away from her and give it back to her to see, and she just threw it back at us. With the first calf, it was known that she stood and watched it for a few seconds, just stood and looked at it, and then splattered it everywhere.
Elephants are pregnant for 22 months. The keepers have been waiting and watching Pugly for all that time. For the last 2 months, they've been on 24-hour watch through a concealed camera in Pugly's shed, in addition to their normal duties. Steve Seath.
They just push their luck all the time. And if you're not on the ball with them, then you've had it, sort of thing. They'll just run rings around you. We just spend our lives working with elephants. I mean, you just think, you go home, you're thinking about what's happening, what you're going to do the next day, what's this, what's that. It's just your life revolves around elephants all the time. And it don't have to get on your girlfriends now.
Vet Chris Furley is a pivotal figure as the Aspinall team prepares to treat Bella for her septic tusk. The septicemia could kill her. He will anaesthetise her by shooting a dart into her hide.
Full anaesthesia of an elephant is always a risky procedure, and we've done nearly 100 here between Howlett and Port Lim. But it's every time we do it, we try to take as much care as possible. We have to make a choice as to whether we try and help this animal in the long term or not. And for the sake of one night separation and a procedure this morning, you know, we might ensure her health for the rest of her life. She's in her late 20s. She's had a tusk problem on both sides for several years. We've had to take one tusk out altogether, and the other one is just a residual stump at the moment. It doesn't protrude beyond the lip, so it's invisible, but it's still there. But over the past few months, she's been rubbing a side of her head. Unfortunately, it looks as though we're going to have to sedate her to find out what's going on inside the tusk socket itself. So that's the reason why we're going to bring down a specialist dentist to do the job.
The specialist Peter Curtis spends 4 days every week as a dentist in Brook Street, London. His patients are human beings. Every Friday he changes gear and visits zoos all over the world to deal with the dental problems of animals. The animal has to be restrained, and today he has a new idea. He suggests they use straps rather than traditional ropes to tether Bella while the operation's going on.
That would be the front, and the back would work like... Don't try and do the back now.
So did they actually draw up tight round the ankle?
Yes.
With Jums as decoy, Bella is led into the enclosure where the operation will take place. The anaesthetic is given by the vet while she's confined in the elephant house.
Bella, come on, look over here. It's a good girl. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl.
They must persuade the 4-ton Bella out of the elephant house before the anaesthetic floors her.
Oh, well, that's a good girl. Go on, then. Good girl. Go on, off you go.
How long do you think it'll take for the anaesthetic to work?
Well, normally it takes about 12-15 minutes, something like that.
The problem is they're not too sure how much of the anaesthetic has gone into Bella.
Depending on whether you've got a subcutaneous injection or intramuscular injection, which at the moment we don't know.
She's getting woozy. To get at the tusk, they need her to land on her left side, and they place the straps accordingly.
Oh, it's a good girl.
Some more people. Do you want to get that?
All right, Tom, all right. Paul, she's going to go down.
Despite the straps, it hasn't worked according to plan.
Yeah.
Come on, going. That's it.
She's on the wrong side to get at the tusk.
She's gone on the wrong side, so she's gone on that side. If we'd have pulled that front leg over, she'd have gone that way. Never mind. Do whatever you want.
Doesn't actually smell dreadfully bad.
Looking at that, it's obviously growing in towards the sheath.
It's got a point on it, which is growing into its lip. That'll have to be trimmed off and smoothed with a rasp.
Keeper Gordon Dick checks on Bella's breathing through her trunk. The operation must be quick and efficient in the animal's interests. Vet Chris Furley gives her another injection to keep her sedated.
we just wash out the other socket really well?
Are we
done?
We're done.
I think so. Anything else you want to do?
No, I've.
You happy with that down there?
Yes, I am. No,
Molars
much
are
happier.
all right.
The operation has lasted nearly an hour.
This tusk is going to be an ongoing problem. The tusk sheath is tight around it. Short of extracting it or doing some sort of plastic surgery major plastic surgery around the tusk sheath, I think it's going to be trimmed every 2 years. She's probably kinder to her than doing major surgery, whereas the risks are much greater.
And 10 minutes later,
Go on it, big girl. Good. Go on it. Go on it.
She can be fed and watered. There should be no problems.
Do it like that.
And tomorrow she can go back to the herd.
And go back to the group then, catch them.
That went very well. It's a good thing she did fall on the right side.
It was, yeah.
Right, let's get these people out of here. Come on.
how do you see your role?
Oh yes, definitely as a protector. That's all. In a difficult time for the great mammals and the smaller mammals. I mean, it's a very difficult time for them. 12% of the species have been wiped out by modern industrial growth and so on already, and 50% of all living species are expected to be wiped out by us within 100 years. Well, I see myself as trying to protect and help some species survive and breed a little longer than they would normally be, and to extend their lifespan as a species by a few generations. If that's all we can do, we'll have done something. It'll give them just an extra slight outside chance of survival.
John Aspinall is the son of a soldier, brought up in East Sussex and educated at Rugby School.
The only signs that I was interested in relationships with animals was that I had tame jackdaws. I even took one of these to school at Rugby, which caused some amusement. And ferrets. I used to love ferrets because ferrets were half wild and could nip you back. And I rather liked the concept that they could have a mind of their own. At Oxford I read English. I didn't read zoology or biology, thank God, because I know my mind would have been filled with nonsense if I had.
10 days later, at Port Lympne, Steve Seath's vigil is ending. Pugly is about to give birth.
The plan with this one was, right, whatever happens, we'll get it. And hopefully it's alive and we'll give it back when she calms down. I ran down there, and fortunately I had a mobile phone with me, so I was able to ring people on the way as well. And when I was there beside her, so she got someone with her straight away. And I was, calling up for help, and we all got down here within minutes. And then we were looking at the situation, so we decided to obviously we had her on chains, because you've got to have some sort of restraint to give you room to move. And we put her on on 2 front chains to stop her being able to flail out too much with her front legs. And it's just a matter of standing back and waiting. We didn't have long, in actual fact. That was the quickest birth that I've personally have seen. I've seen the others which you've had quite a long labour process. When I was on the phone, the bulge under the tail, I said, well, we've got a bulge under the tail, we don't, we're on our way. Come down, but, it's just a small bulge at the moment. Well, within half an hour, it's on the floor. We were geared up to take that calf. That was in our minds. There wasn't a thought of, we'll leave her for half an hour. There wasn't, because the situation is it's happening in front of you, you've just got to react to it. So we made sure all the escape routes were open for anything, and whereby we can pull the calf out. There's a little door in front of where Pugly was standing, which is a keeper escape door. Made sure that was all unlocked and ready to go in case we had to pull the calf out of there, which is up the front, you see. And one of the things she did, she kicked it up the front, and then started coming down on it with her head. Fortunately, Kevin runs round, takes her mind off it. He's pulling her with the other chain. That takes her mind off it just for a second, enough for somebody to get in there. Bearing in mind, she's here, she's there, she's everywhere. You know, it's quite risky, but the little fella's here now.
And the little fella survived. But there's a problem. Pugly, the mother, has settled back into the herd, but rejected her baby. So the keepers have to try to milk her for the colostrum that will keep the new baby alive. Pugly is not sedated.
Well, it's vital for antibodies and things for the little fella, you know. I mean, we're just getting as much as we can. Pugly's been very good, in actual fact, since she's calmed down. We've found, just in the last few hours, that chocolate's the stuff. We were giving her bananas as treats, but chocolate, she stands there and moves her leg out of the way for a bit of chocolate. Sometimes you get a lot, sometimes you don't get so much. Depends on her mood. We had her half asleep last night. She was standing there dozing. We managed to get a couple of 100 mils out of her at one hit. At one point yesterday, we did actually manage to get a full feed's worth of mother's milk, which was good. But yeah, it is very important, and we're just getting as much as we possibly can.
I'm forced into this position of being a protector. My affection for them as a species, my respect for them as evolutionary masterpieces, everything that has survived till today is a masterpiece of evolution. And is also within itself in its a fountain of knowledge and experience. And we'll do anything we can to try and preserve these miracles. That is what drives us here.
Oh dear, Finn, giving him this first is just to make sure he takes it. We were mixing it with the milk. But then when he started leaving a bit of milk in the feed, you know, you're not sure he's got all this, so we shove that down his neck first.
The colostrum taken, they give the new baby, Ashoka, a bottle of SMA Gold Top.
Come on then, fella. Come on. Steady.
Do you have to wind him?
No, he burps himself all right. He's all right. I can't. He weighs about 350 pounds. It's a bit much to put over your shoulder, really. You know.
Charts and records of Ashoka's progress are meticulously kept.
See this with his back legs crossed? It's just like his dad.
It'll be perhaps 2 years before they know whether or not Ashoka, the baby elephant, is going to survive.
A young Bindu. A long time waiting. Indeed. But look at it when he comes, eh? The most bestest thing ever, aren't you?
I'm sentimental. There's a lot of sentiment at Howlett's, and it comes from me in the first place. I'm very sentimentally attached to my companions in evolution that have been with us for 40 million years and experienced and survived all the terrible things which we had to survive when we were a modest and humble species. And they're our companions, and so I feel attached to them. They're part of my life, my culture, our culture.
Snuggling into her, which is that one mum, aren't they, you see? We'll have a tired elephant in a minute. There we are. That's better. That's better.
The world is shrinking all the time. The wild spaces, the game reserves, everything is shrinking. And it's a bit like a sort of burning building, you know, you're trying to rescue a few of the most important things. And hopefully there will be something there that you can build on in the future and put back.
The ethos of Aspinalls animal parks is to rescue endangered species and, if possible, return them to the wild. Zoological Director Mike Lockyer and the rest of the management team meet informally over lunch once a week.
Been very lucky to have had two
Aspinall himself,
mother raised from two unrelated pairs. Probably blind luck, but it's happened after 24 years of patience.
vet Chris Furley and General Manager Peter Litchfield.
100 eggs a day.
Aspinall's half-brother, James Osborne, and Robert Boutwood, who runs the administration. All have made a career caring for animals. For 20 years, Lockyer hunted them for circuses and zoos, a white hunter.
I'm almost a person who's sort of a poacher turned gamekeeper. I was employed in Africa actually catching animals, which of course ended up in safari parks and zoos throughout the world. I was brought up in the 30s and early 40s, and the normal thing then was that schoolboys collected birds' eggs and that little girls picked wild flowers and people wore fur coats, and all this was accepted at the time. I don't think it was really very much questioned. Circus in those days was respectable family entertainment. There was no television with wildlife programs, and even things like circus were patronised by royalty.
Much of Lockyer's work was for the Chipperfield circuses and zoos. He bears the scars of this dangerous work, and one leg is now shorter than the other.
I had a spiral fracture then of the tib and fib, and yeah, that did affect me rather badly.
It was 1973.
Normally, my job is on the back of the vehicle with the catch pole. I'm not doing that at the moment. I'm driving the following vehicle. This is because earlier in this safari we were chasing waterbuck, and we took a very nasty combination of an anthill at speed with a crater on the opposite side, and the vehicle went nose down into it. I crashed forward and broke a couple of ribs. The animal kept on going, and well, that's the way it is. Sometimes they win, and good luck to them. He's probably still running.
Lockyer has been with John Aspinall now for 14 years. These are water buffalo. The team inspect the animals every week.
Come on. Come on. We had a fencer here, didn't we, the other day?
Yes.
Working here, and there's unfortunately one very tame one that was hand raised, and it has no respect for humans at all. Came and it literally picked him up and pushed him over the fence, right up in the sky. Over the fence.
I think he went in to fix the fence, and he knew the bull was there, but he'd been told it was hand reared, and therefore thought it was sort of tame. And maybe it was only playing with him, but it launched him.
Launched him into outer space, and he came over the fence. He wasn't hurt, thank God.
It comes as a surprise to a lot of people, particularly anti-zoo people, that zoos are full of people who actually would prefer there not to be zoos. They would love all the animals to be in the wild, but one, the wild is shrinking, and two, I think we all take the attitude that as long as there are animals in captivity at all, better they be looked after by people who care and are interested than anybody else.
In what Aspinall sees as his war to protect endangered species, he's had famous victories. Some of the rarest animals are the Przewalski horses. 20 years ago, they were virtually extinct. Keeper Boz Luff.
There were 13 animals that had been collected up. There was nothing left in the wild to speak of, and so every single Przewalski horse that you see anywhere in the world now has stemmed from those 13 individuals. Domestic horses are supposed to have stemmed from the wild horses, but I can't honestly think of any domestic breed that would be quite as hardy as these. But they have very little food. They're out all year. They've got field shelters and so on, but they are outside. They're not actually housed in the winter.
What's their normal habitat?
Very similar to what we've got here today, really, at this time of the year, sort of fairly arid and so on. But it is fairly sort of, they can withstand some very low temperatures. Obviously, Mongolia gets extremely cold through the winter months. But it does get very lush at the right time of year, so they can put on reserves to withstand them through the winter. We've got some in other places and so on, some on loan. Some was sent back to China on a reintroduction program. Another one into Mongolia, which has subsequently had a foal. So it's been very successful worldwide, basically.
We've bred them successfully here, sent 10 to Beijing, where they did quarantine before being released in the Yangtze Gobi Reserve. Another mare that we sent to Mongolia, and she's just had a foal.
Well, she was selected through computer sort of analysis, genetic-wise and breeding-wise. And as I say, we've had one foal and it's been a success, so go on from there.
Today, one of the Przewalski horses has to be caught. It's a mare being sent to Australia for breeding. The vet shoots an anaesthetising dart into its side, and the keepers move in. Gradually, the Przewalski horse slows down. Meanwhile, in Howlett's carpentry shop, a box, designed and measured specifically for this creature, is made ready.
What is now getting more difficult is that because of animal rights movements, there are many airlines and shipping lines who simply refuse to take animals anymore because they don't want the hassle of being picketed or people threatening to plant bombs on them if they're into the animal moving business. And although this is largely aimed at the farming community of exporting live animals and so forth, of course, if the ferry or the shipping line says we don't take animals anymore, it does tend to affect all of us. Even if we're doing a one-off job to get 2 elephants together for mating somewhere.
At last, the mare is caught. Now it must be loaded up and moved into quarantine in preparation for its 12,000-mile journey. As it's sleeping, its hooves are clipped and tidied up.
Good side and a good end.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
What was the purpose of this exercise today?
Just to put it into isolation. I have to do 21 days isolation prior to the export. Yeah, going to another park.
And how many are you actually sending in this batch?
Just 3, a stallion and 2 mares.
Howletts and Port Lympne cover 450 acres of East Kent. It's home for 70 species of animal. "50 keepers work here. Joel Bunt hand-raised this young Nilgai, Florence.
Just under a year old. The reason being she was hand-reared is because she was born on a very cold morning, and we found her unmoving, unresponsive. So we brought her back to the shed, warmed her up, revived her, and by then it was too late to put her back with the herd, so we finished the job. I never really knew what I wanted to do. I did go to agricultural college for a while and worked on farms, but it was the animal side of things that I preferred. I think it's just a case of preferring animals to people, generally. I just enjoy their company more.
This rare antelope, the Bongo, is another success story in Aspinall's struggle to preserve the species. Their head keeper is Paul Werdnam.
He, in fact, was the second calf born in this enclosure, and that's his mother, just there, with one horn. He's born in 1996, March, I believe. He's all right. He's a good lad. We put a bit of time into him when he was a youngster, because obviously he's going to grow up to be this big and strapping.
if you see the keepers with the bongo, you see the way that they come and nudge them and brush them out of affection, and then the way the keepers tickle them and groom them and play with them with their hands around their horns. And that's all messages are passed all the time. And it's not easy to be able to be accepted by a whole bongo herd. I mean, a bongo is a very well-armed animal. And you can see them in there, and they're accepted as bongo by the bongos. Bongos think they're bongos. Friendly bongos, of course, in the herd members. They're very important, and it makes Medicare so easy. They can, for finding out what a bump is, or what a wound is in a leg, or if an injection has to be made. Instead of having to dart it with a gun from distance, you can just go and give it a jab, or inspect it to find out what's wrong with it.
When I first left school, I was working at a dairy farm, rearing the calves, and various things like that. And then I went on to an arable farm, and was there for 8 years, messing around with tractors and doing things that you wouldn't agree with, like spraying the fields and things like that, you know. But yeah, got made redundant from there and came here.
Why did you choose? I mean, what was it? Was it just a job, or was it?
Oh no, it's not just a job. It's they always think the ultimate job is one that you enjoy doing and getting paid for it. So I thought it was something that I enjoy doing, i.e. animals, and now I'm getting paid for it. So steady. It's all come rather sweet. Nice and quietly.
What do you feel for these animals?
Good girls. Well, they're your friends for one. You don't see them as a farmer would, because he sees making money. If you get one that's ill, you certainly start fretting a bit. There's certainly a lot of benefits you can get from being that close to them that you wouldn't do if you had bars or rail fences in between you all the time.
What do you learn from them?
Well, you learn them. That's what you learn. You learn how to be a bongo. You learn how to move in a certain fashion, what they may like, what they might not like. You basically learn to be one of them. That's the pronking where they leap like that, see?
Are there people who don't fit in here?
Oh, certainly. We get a few work experience people and vet students, and some of them you just won't even entertain. Normally it's a very jumpy people that will set that lot off, and you won't be able to get on or do anything. They'd rather spook than be quiet, if you see what I mean, because their natural defence is to flee. You can learn how to move about them without spooking them off, but it all takes time. That's if you've got the bottle to move in amongst them.
Later that week, a unique event for the animal park and for keeper Paul Wordnam. A bongo has given birth to twins.
They were born between 8 o'clock and 11:30 yesterday morning, so they will be just over 24 hours old. Joel came up to check them at 8 o'clock in the morning, noticed there was some feet showing, saw that most things was going fairly smoothly, left the young lady on her own to get on with it, came back up at 9:30 and she'd already produced one of the calves, and she was fairly hostile to him. He returned at approximately 11:30 and there was two. If you look at the one that's feeding here, there's no dent in between, right in there, that's a straight line, if you see what I mean, yeah? Well, I mean, it's actually eaten. Well, the other one this morning was like that. It's a bigger calf anyway. I should think this was the second one to be born, and it just needs to get a bit of warmth in its belly, you know? Where the older one's done that, it probably gets up earlier and feeds, and it's all right for the rest of the day, sort of thing. In fact, that one's got a double stripe where this one hasn't, so they're not identical.
And beside Aspinalls' home inside Howlett's, it's on with the day's work. There are bison to be fed. Bison are not the most cooperative creatures.
Bolshy, for no real apparent reason. They don't like being told what to do, and any little thing that they think they want to get at you, they will. No, I'm annoyed just because I am, kind of attitude. I don't know why. It would obviously be different in a vast forest. because they'd flee as soon as they saw anything that threatened them. But in a captive situation here, I haven't met one that hasn't been bolshy. It's hearing that's the dominant factor, the dominant sense. If you can hear things cracking in the undergrowth rather than see it, you're going to rely on your hearing to flee as opposed to your sight. So I presume that's where blind panic comes from, because you don't see anything, you just beat off.
7 days after they were born, a crisis with the Bongo family. Despite all the keeper's efforts, one Bongo calf dies. And so does the mother from septicemia. Joel is fighting for the life of the remaining twin.
Unfortunately, where they'd been left sitting, they'd decided to take it upon themselves to wean themselves on solids. And they started eating straw and lucerne. And unfortunately, their system couldn't cope with that, and they ended up with matted clumps of this matter inside their stomachs. So they thought they were full, and they weren't suckling. And so the first one died of starvation. But fortunately, this little fella has brought up 2 of the lumps in his stomach and is now suckling. So hopefully he's on the mend.
And how is he feeding?
He's on about 5 feeds a day, and he's just started taking a pint of feed. So he's getting there. When he's in full swing, he should be on about between 1.5 pints and 2 pints of feed. So it'll be about 8 or 9 pints a day.
So you're feeding him day and night then?
Yeah, first feed is early in the morning, and the others are at various intervals until about midnight.
The struggle goes on for another 8 days.
He's been quite lethargic, quite unwilling to feed. So much so that the vet decided to give him a blood test. Results come back showing that he had a liver infection. So he's been given antibiotics for that.
Is he feeding now?
No, not with any regularity. He's taking the odd feed here and there, but not enough. Not enough. He should be on much more than what he's actually taking. They're definitely not as fit as they should have been from the start. His general all-round fitness and of the other calf was never 100%. And that certainly was the cause of his leg problem, or is the cause of his leg problem, that they're twisted in because he was squashed into the wound with the other one. So we'll go right to the end till we get a result either way.
3 days later, the second twin died. John Aspinall insists that all the animals are kept in habitat as close as possible to their natural environment. These are water buffalo from Asia.
It's a very powerful animal. There's a bull with him there, there's a fat little bull.
So how successful are you with these?
Oh, very successful. We're the suppliers of Europe. We sent 5 to West Berlin very recently. I should say Berlin. We supplied, my company we sent out in the last 20 years.
Maybe 15 or 20 over the few years.
20 have been scattered around the UK.
All these 50 years I've been working with animals, all my employers have always preached that the animals come first. But here it's somehow more believable. They're not shut in or shut out for the benefit of the public. It really is a question of the place exists to keep them in the best possible way.
I'm a very selfish man. People got to understand this, that myself is bound up with all my work. In that sense, I'm extremely selfish. The things I regret in life are sitting in lawyers' offices, in courts, and in airports. And the rest of it is all a pleasure for me. You know, I've indulged myself. Oh, we love these prunes. Any dried fruit, dragging a great basket of fruit around is because I want to do that, not because I feel duty. I never felt, I do sometimes feel, when I walk past an animal and it calls me, and I've forgotten to feed it or something, I immediately go and do that. Come on, Boulas. That's a sort of duty. But it's not a duty born of having to do it because you have to do your duty. It's because it's an imperative within you to satisfy that friend.
He gives you the opportunity to become very good in a certain field with basically not telling you how to do it. So he's giving you a lot of reins, and you can get on and try things out and make mistakes, but hopefully get better from them.
Keeper Nick Marks.
If we're going to stick these poor things in cages, shouldn't that be the way it is? There's no one else like Mr. Aspinall. There's no one else would do this. There was no one else that will create a place like Howlett's with the sympathy and the love of the animals that are here. But that means everyone else has got it wrong, basically. If you're just going to stick them in a field or in a concrete cell, what is the point of them? They can't, all you're doing is looking, they might as well be stuffed.
How aware are you of John Aspinall's influence?
It's everywhere. It's very heavy in the zoo. You can tell that just by the way the keepers work. There's very few animals which you don't go in with and enjoy being in the herd with, whatever. And that's certainly his influence, because he enjoys animals' companies just as much as we do.
Why did he do it? Well, it's a genuine love. I've had lunch or tea with him every Monday almost without fail for about the last 15 years. And I mean, the things that come out that he is passionately interested in are strange bedfellows in a way, it's Zulus and wild animals, and to a large extent also gambling, which is fortunate because that's what's made the money to pay for the animals. The interesting thing here, as I see it, is that too many people have tried to make money from animals, whereas he's reversed the situation, makes money at gambling in order to keep the animals in the way he thinks they should be kept. One man's dream, absolutely. And, well, as I say, this is why I'm here. I believe in it.